Hey, Amy.
Yes, Juan.
Give me that beat.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amy Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? She is Amy Cuevas, and I am Juan Ramirez. Let's get the business out of the way. You are watching Baseball Shangri-La. For those of you listening on the podcast, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Write us a review, rate us, help us spread the word about the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us the thumbs up. Leave us a comment. We love engaging with you guys. Make sure you're following us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, Threads, and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amy Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. Let's get the show out of the way. Let's get this show. Wow, I really butchered this. I'm killing the show today. Let's start the show, everybody. And a pleasant good evening to you, wherever you may be. Amy, how are you?
I'm still celebrating my birthday. I think actually,
and you should.
At the time of this recording, it is actually my birthday.
That is right. That is right. You beat me to it, ladies and gentlemen. At the time that you are watching this episode, it is our beloved Amy Cuevas' birthday. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is Amy Cuevas' birthday, and I'm trying to give you confetti here, but this is just, there we go. It's Amy's birthday. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen, for your listening pleasure. Estas son las mañanitas que cantaba el rey David. Ahora, por ser día de tu santo, te las cantamos a ti. Despierta, mira que ya amaneció. And I'm going to stop you because I can feel you cringing through the screen. Happy birthday, Amy. What, any special plans for your birthday?
I am actually, while we're recording this, it is the day before, so still the eve, but I'm actually going to go whale watching in the morning. Probably hang out at the beach, go grab some lunch, and then find a place to post up and watch the game. Because that's what we do as adults.
So tell me about this whale watching. Have you ever been whale watching before?
I do. There's a couple places down the coast. So like Newport, Long Beach, they each have places that you can go. Sometimes even when you go and you don't see whales, they'll give you coupons. So I actually had a coupon. So I'm going to go. If we don't see any, it's just nice to be on the ocean. You're usually out there for like 2 hours or so before they turn back around. And I don't know, it's just a nice, calm way to spend a day.
So what kind of whales are you expecting to see, or do you see?
I have yet to see some. So tomorrow would be an excellent day, or today by the time you listen to this. I think typically like gray whales, I think sometimes humpbacks. Over, I think November, December last year, they actually had some orcas, some killer whales out there. And I went out, that's where I went a couple of times hoping to see them and didn't. But the boat ride was nice.
So. Are you serious? You actually see orcas?
They had some this winter. They were in the harbor. They knew they were there because they found some dolphin carcasses because they're carnivores. But yeah, they were in the harbor for a couple months.
Hey everybody, it's story time!
Are we going to get a Free Willy story?
Not Free Willy. Amy and I did not rehearse this, but when she brought up orcas, we all talk about how I'm a movie snob, but I have guilty pleasures. Amy loves Jaws 3D. Here is a movie that you could probably say rivals Jaws 3D. And
I bet I have it on DVD and I love it. Go.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
What is it?
Oh, why can I not think of it? Isn't it called Orca?
Orca the Killer Whale. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. And I have it on DVD. I was obsessed with this movie as a kid, Orca the Killer Whale.
Same. Right? Oh, I must have watched it a million times. Had no idea that was Dumbledore.
Right? Okay. So, and it has great actors in it. Richard Harris is who she's referring to. For those of you who have not seen Orca the Killer Whale, it is a blatant Jaws ripoff. Okay. This movie came out. It was produced by the great. Yes. Go ahead, Amy.
I was just going to say, I felt bad for the whale in that whole movie. I never sided with the humans in this one. So carry on.
Okay. So That movie is produced by a fellow Italian of Amy's, Dino De Laurentiis. And Dino De Laurentiis is a guy, it's me, Amy. Dino De Laurentiis is a guy who was known to make big production. He remade King Kong, the 70s version of King Kong with Jessica Lange. So he wanted his own version of Jaws, so he did Orca the Killer Whale. So there's that opening sequence in the movie when that orca kills the shark, and that was totally to try to piss on Jaws's leg, right? To be like, look, this orca took out this great white shark. But anyways, I love this movie.
There were multiple moments in that movie where I cried. The shark being killed was one of them. The beginning scene that I don't want to ruin it for anybody, and then multiple points throughout. But wasn't who was the gal who was in it? She was a model.
Charlotte Rampling.
No.
Oh,
She
Bo
was
Derek. You're thinking of Bo Derek.
Yes, Bo Derek
Yes.
was in it too. Yep.
Yes, Bo Derek. So for those there is our recommendation. And again,
Mhm.
this is another exhibit. Is this exhibit 588 of I Am Not a Film Snob? Okay, Orca the Killer Whale is a movie that I if it's on TV, I love it. And here's the thing that I love the most about this movie, and then we're going to talk about baseball. The score to that movie is by one of the greatest film composers of all time. He's up there with John Williams, and that's Ennio Morricone. Ennio Morricone did this. He did the score for The Untouchables. He did the famous score for The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. For any of you guys who are fans of spaghetti westerns, but he made this beautiful. I love the score of the orcas, especially when they're doing the funeral scene.
I can
where
hear
they're
it
going into the-
in my mind right now.
It is such a beautiful piece of music that I listen to it on my own without watching the movie. I'll just randomly put it on YouTube just to hear the soundtrack. That music has no business being in that movie because that movie does not match to the level of, it's just, oh my, I love
It's a travesty.
Do you know that there is actually, they put words to it? I'm going to send you that video. They put,
You have
there's this,
3 videos to send me at this point. So yeah, add
I
it
have
to
a
the
lot of,
list.
wow. Happy
we-
birthday, Amy. Thank you for giving me the birthday gift by giving me the opportunity to speak about Orca the Killer Whale. I never thought I would have the opportunity, especially on a baseball show, to talk about my love of Orca the Killer Whale.
Well, nobody knows what movie that is. I actually took that over to a friend's house many years ago and introduced them to it, and they were like, And I was like, we wore this VHS out watching it as kids. So this is just another reason that I adore you as one of my friends, because you also love this movie, and I'm gonna have to watch it this week. Maybe I'll watch it tomorrow on my birthday.
We are very simpatico in that sense. This is a part of how Amy and I bonded in the press box when we first met, when we first both discovered that we love Jaws. And we just kind of like looked at each other and went, you love Jaws? I love Jaws. And we just
You want to
one
see
of
my
that-
scar?
Exactly. Show me the way to go home. Boom, boom. I'm tired and want to go to bed.
Dum, dum.
In the words of the
Okay.
great David Wants a Taco, not only is this a baseball podcast, but it's a movie podcast, people.
So baseball.
So before we segue to our first topic, I do want to point out, because a viewer slash listener asked me, obviously they did not listen to our pilot episode, but they had asked me, why is it called Baseball Shangri-La? So we may have new viewers, new listeners
Story time.
who have not taken the time to go and watch our very first episode. So I'm just going to put it out there. Baseball Shangri-La is a reference to Chavez Ravine, and both for Amy and I, Chavez Ravine is very important. Chavez Ravine was referred to as the poor man's Shangri-La. Those 3 neighborhoods, La Loma, Palo Verde, and Bishop. So we wanted to find a way to incorporate Chavez Ravine into the show. There are already a lot of shows out there about the Dodgers that include the ravine in there. So we wanted to be a little different. But so when you hear us call Baseball Shangri-La, it is an homage to Chavez Ravine. So I just want to put that reminder out there, because there are some people who are like, I don't get it. Why are you guys Baseball Shangri-La?
Because we're in paradise.
So Amy, let's start. Let's update, because this is a story that we actually have discussed in the past. So we're going to do a little update on this story. So, Amy, a while back, we had done a story about the number of pitching injuries in Major League Baseball. And over this past weekend, it was discovered that Shane Bieber, the pitcher for the Cleveland Guardians, it's confirmed that he's getting Tommy John, right?
Him and Yuri Perez.
So all of a sudden, everybody's really bringing to people's attention the epidemic that is happening with injured pitchers, star pitchers, going on the injured list and losing them for really long periods of time. And Tony Clark, was it Tony Clark or was it the actual Major League Players Association that made this?
So it is the MLB Players Association, but it's a statement from Executive Director Tony Clark regarding the pitcher injuries. Do you want me to read it, or did you want to?
Yeah. Before you read it, though, I just realized something because we got so excited with Amy's birthday today being Amy's birthday, and I don't think we did this on the other show. We didn't do any. We didn't do base running blunders.
Is that a blunder? Do we have to count that as a blunder?
Do we count the fact that we didn't do? Well, we didn't have any base running.
We
blunders.
did not. We're not. No, we're not.
Yeah, let's not count it. So I think we should only
Jose Ayala. It doesn't count.
No, it doesn't count as a base running blunder. So I think
because you know he's gonna pay attention.
Oh yeah, he's gonna go. What? No base running blunders? No, because we didn't have any. So in the interest of time, from now on, we will only bring up base running blunders if we have a base running blunder. Let's make an executive decision, birthday girl. What do you think?
I all in favor. I motion carried.
Aye. Yes. All right. Okay. So to the statement, please.
Oh, back to the statement. So from the executive director, Tony Clark, regarding pitcher issues. So from his New York office on April 6th, it says, despite unanimous player opposition and significant concerns regarding health and safety, the commissioner's office reduced the length of the pitch clock last December, just one season removed from imposing the most significant rule change in decades. Since then, our concerns about the health impacts of reduced recovery time have only intensified. The league's unwillingness thus far to acknowledge or study the effects of these profound changes is an unprecedented threat to our game and its most valuable asset, the players. And then he went on to have that interpreted into Spanish as well.
I mean, what do you think, Amy?
I think it's a factor. I think we made a lot of changes in the last couple of years very quickly without thinking about the implications. So not only is it the pitch clock, which are they adjusting to it? Absolutely. But are there going to be repercussions for resetting your arm in a position that you're doing, a repetitive movement over and over again? Potentially. But we also got rid of the sticky stuff just 2 years ago. That's going to force people to have to grip the ball harder. We also have a higher emphasis on things like throwing harder, throwing faster versus hey, maybe let's try to make sure it goes over the plate. So if we're focusing more on stuff, they don't have, the sticky stuff. And now we've limited their movements with the pitch clock. I think all of those things play a part. I don't think it's just one thing per se.
It's really interesting that you mentioned the sticky stuff. But before I go to the sticky stuff, immediately when all these injuries, the ones that happened over the weekend, everybody started coming out with going after the pitch clock. And here's my only thing with this is I don't know if we have enough information to determine how the pitch clock is affecting these pitchers.
Which is what the statement is saying. Is there isn't enough evidence at this point. There's no research.
Right, but there's a lot more people out there that are saying, "Oh, well, it's the pitch clock. It's because you're not allowing these guys enough time to rest." So I think what the problem is when that statement came out, immediately everybody's like, "Oh my God, the next CBA is going to be horrible because the players are going to start to fight the owners on the pitch clock." And for the most part, I think last year everyone had a pretty positive reaction to the pitch clock. I know you think it's still too fast, that games are now are faster than they are, but for the most part, and I saw a lot more positive than negative about the pitch clock last year. So when I see this,
I realize I'm in the minority there too. So it's not like I'm trying to fight an uphill battle. I realize that's just my opinion. So totally get that.
So I agree with you. I think the thing is it's a lot of factors. The sicky stuff is something that I'm starting to see more people talk about. You know what's really resurfaced a lot this weekend, as a result of this story was the interview that Tyler Glasnow gave, right? And that Tyler Glasnow, he felt that the injury that led to his Tommy John was because he didn't have the sticky stuff. He was gripping the ball harder, and therefore, because he was gripping the ball harder, he was putting all that pressure on there. So I, I I do think it's a combination of that. I also think, and I think one of the doctors what's the doctor down in Texas that we've,
Dr. Keith Meister. He's the Rangers head team physician.
so I keep seeing everybody's gonna go visit now Dr. Keith Meister, right, to have them take a look at his arm. But I don't know if it was him or was it Dr. Elatrash, the one that had said that, "Look, the arm is not designed to throw 95, 96 miles per hour." And this is something we talked about when we first talked about this story is just the throwing motion itself. Throwing a baseball and throwing it repeatedly is unnatural. So if you look back in the days when, these pitchers in the 50s and the 60s, I don't know if they had these long careers. I think they were having these same types of injuries. Sandy Koufax's whole career was cut short. So I don't know if this is anything new. I get what's happening here, that it's bad that you are having star pitchers, you're losing them for the whole year. Like, look at the Dodgers. Dustin May went down. Walker Buehler is coming back from a second Tommy John.
But I think it's happening at a higher precedent though, where like Dustin May hasn't been in the league that long. Tony Gonsolin, like they've been on the team for a while, yes, but they haven't like they're still newer pitchers. It's not like Kershaw or somebody who's been around for a lot of years, Zach Greinke, something like that. They're still relatively new. They're both on shoulder surgeries. You've got Walker Buehler on his second. Like I don't think it's just that, oh, well, the older pitchers, maybe they just weren't throwing that hard or they had this and they just weren't getting surgery. I think it's happening at a higher rate, and that's what we have to look at because we are seeing more of the starting pitching go down. How many people are available for like trades or in the off season as far as starting pitching? There's not a lot of guys out there. And then the ones that are, they're already going down. Didn't correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Giolito, didn't he have some issues
Oh,
after?
yeah, Giolito's, he's out for the whole season. But again, this is why I don't think it's just one factor. So while everyone is bringing up the pitch clock
Mhm,
and focusing on the pitch clock, you brought up the sticky stuff, the spin rate. The
mhm.
spin rate, and I think and it goes back to the grip again. Like, when you see the video with Glass now talking about the grip, I don't know if the fact that Tony Gonsolin, who throws a splitter, yeah, I don't know if his grip on the splitter, like, there's a lot of reasons why pitchers stopped throwing the splitter because there was it was being reported that the splitter was causing arm problems. So that's why people wanted to stay away from the splitter because they were afraid of getting hurt. So I just think we need a lot more information. I hope this is going to lead to it being studied as to what's happening. I know Bill Shaken of the Los Angeles Times had a piece out there saying, well, would we be better off if the pitchers were throwing at a lower speed? So instead of seeing everybody constantly throwing 100 miles per hour, if we see people in the low 90s, but again, you need movement, because if you're throwing like that and you're throwing it right over the plate, the talent is just too good. They're going to kill you.
But that's been the argument too, right? Is that with the change in pitching, the play of the ball has gone down. Games aren't as exciting. People go to games, you don't see plays happening because more of it is concentrated on striking somebody out or making sure that they don't even get a hit or they get soft contact. So I think that, okay, I'm looking back at the article that it was I can't remember if it was Driveline or if it was Dr. Keith Meister, but essentially they were saying like higher velo equals a greater risk of injury regardless of pitch. So with that in mind, like we have moved the ticker up on the miles per hour. We have put an emphasis on velocity. If that's the case and that's driving up injuries, add in things like the pitch clock, I think is the least of our concerns. I think it is more the stuff, the grip, stuff like that. I think if you're going to keep inching that up, that's the problem. And that's what we need to look at. Okay, so then we back it off a little bit. Okay, yeah, people are going to be able to hit better. So maybe that puts the ball in play more. Isn't that what the MLB wants? They want more exciting games. That saves people's arms. That, gets the ball in play more. I don't know. But I definitely don't think it's the pitch clock only as the issue that we're seeing.
It's an excellent point that you bring up in terms of putting balls in play. I mean, there are pitchers in the past, like, for example, Greg Maddux. And I know it's probably bad to use Greg Maddux as an example because he's a Hall of Famer, but pitching to contact. Like Greg Maddux was a guy, maybe he could limit his pitches because he pitched to contact. And I don't need to strike everyone out, right? It's like if I can get somebody to pop up or I can get somebody to hit a ground ball, that's just as effective for me and keep my pitch count down. Somehow we have gotten away from that philosophy. And I don't know how far back when that change came, because I do hear Andrew Friedman and I hear a lot of people in the Dodgers organization saying, well, this guy's got swing and miss stuff. We get it. Strikeouts are very, very important. And I think that was part of the reason of what was happening with this game was you watch games and like, oh my God, there's like this team struck out 10, 14 times in a game. Nobody wants to see a team striking out that much in a game.
I come to see the defense. I want to see the Mookie Bettses and everybody else out there making the plays. Kike catching balls, Rojas whether he's at shortstop or third, making these amazing plays. That's baseball to me. So if that means we lessen the miles per hour that they're pitching, lower the velocity, but also save their arms in the process, you've got more balls in play. We get to see the defense on display. But there was another article that we covered. I think it was also another athletic article in an earlier episode where the MLB wanted to cut back the number of pitchers because they wanted to increase the length of starting pitchers. Yeah, that's great, but we don't have pitchers that can go the length of a game right now. You might get 5, maybe 6 innings at this point. And if we keep on the trajectory that we are, there's no way that they're going to be able to make it deep into a game anyway. So cut back on some of that focus on the velocity. Maybe your pitchers can actually go deeper into a game because they're not injuring themselves. Let the defense back them up. I think what we're doing, it's not a good trajectory for anybody at this point.
Hopefully this will lead as them taking a look at their training methods, their philosophy, and hopefully it's something that can be fixed because, yes, I agree in terms of it doesn't look good for the sport if all your elite pitchers are hurt. I understand that, but I also just think this is something that is part of the game. And I understand that your point in the sense that it is becoming a little more prevalent. It is something to keep an eye on. We wanted to update you on that story. Another story that I want to talk about briefly before we wrap things up on this episode is it was announced that the Oakland A's are going to be moving to Sacramento, and they're going to be playing in Sacramento from 2025 through 2027. They're playing at the home of the San Francisco Giants AAA affiliate. Look,
that's my old ballpark.
Oh, so you've been to that ballpark?
I lived in downtown Sacramento for 17 years. Yeah, that's the Rivercats. I mean, when I first moved there, they were an Oakland A's affiliate. It was a little harder to go once they were Giants, but because the Dodgers minor league affiliates would come through, it was a great place to see the Dodgers come through too.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the capacity on that one is like, what, 14,000?
Oh, I don't know the capacity. I mean, it's a small stadium. It's a minor league stadium, and it's in the heart of downtown. So it abuts the river. I don't think it's the Sacramento, but it's like right on the Delta.
So there was a lot of criticism of this because I don't think it's a good look to have a Major League Baseball team playing in a minor league baseball stadium. Not only are they playing, they're going to be playing there for 3 years. That's a long, I mean, that seems to me a long time.
Through 2028, you said?
2027. In 2028, they're supposed to be in Las Vegas. Now, my in-laws live in Las Vegas, so I get all the stories that nobody in Vegas wants the team. Nobody wants the Oakland A's. They want their own baseball team. They want their expansion. Their own expansion team. So I keep hearing these reports of like, hey guys, everybody keeps talking about this like this is a done deal, but it's just like out here in Vegas, nobody wants this team. So they may not be ready for 2028. So what happens in 2028? I know there were reports that Utah would take them. So are like the Oakland A's just constantly going to be moving? Like one of the things that I found interesting, Amy, is do you know that once they play in Sacramento, they're not going to be known as the Sacramento A's. They're just going to be the Athletics. They're from nowhere. They're just the Athletics.
I'm sorry, what? They're just the A's?
Yeah, they're going to just be known as
So the Angels have like 5 cities and 2 zip codes, but the A's are like, nope, you get nowhere.
Yeah, I just look, everybody is talking about how the injuries to pitchers is a black eye to baseball. This to me is much more of a black eye to Major League Baseball, because not only that, but there's going to be significant layoffs to staffers, people that work for the team. And that sucks. And to me, this guy, John Fisher, who owns the A's, he's worth $3 billion. And this is just it's a pissing contest, Amy, because he wants the public to pay for his stadium. And this is what it's about. This is a guy, $3 billion, who, by the way, the Oakland A's have a payroll of $24 million. The Dodgers have players that make more than $24 million a year. You can't tell me that this guy is actively trying to win. And mind you, he gets revenue sharing.
Well, that's my beef. You know, that's my thing of like, if you're going to take that revenue share and you're not going to put it back in the team, you should be sorry, you're cut off then. You don't get any.
So you say that, and so that brings me to my question about this. Okay, Major League Baseball, they're going to be playing in a minor league stadium. This looks really bad. The people of Oakland are really upset.
And you were correct. It is 14,014 seats in that stadium.
So should Manfred strip John Fisher of ownership of the Oakland Athletics because of what he's doing?
Will he though? Because he answers to the owners.
And that's the other problem, right? Because the owners all approve this move. They unanimously approve this move. So they should share the blame in what a shit show this is becoming, right? But there's precedent because Bud Selig removed Frank McCourt as owner of the Dodgers. Now, I think in that situation, they were able to see like he is mismanaging the team financially. They have no money. They're bankrupt.
I think in this case, if he's not going to do that, and let's say that he won't, I think this makes the case though of, I'm sorry, no more expansion teams until one, you can get the 2 teams that have issues with this that we know of right now, of either no home or like barely a home. And then also this issue with taking from that revenue sharing and not doing anything with it. There's got to be, you got to clean up the house first before you decide to like build onto it. And creating expansion teams to me is out of the question. And this is just one more argument against that, because we're literally just going to have the Athletics. No, they're going to play. I mean, the only reason I'm excited is my brother still lives up there. So when I go visit, I can go see a major league game at a minor league field and it's relatively close. I still have friends up there. We could just go take in a game. That's me selfish, but that's like, you take that out of the picture and this isn't great. We need to do some housekeeping in this respect, because this isn't a stellar move.
I think those are excellent points that you bring up, because look, he came out there and made John Fisher, the owner of the Athletics, after they made this announcement, get out there and saying, I can't wait for Aaron Judge to come here and hit home runs. And it's like, bro, he's not even on your team. So what you're saying is that you're more excited about the visiting team coming to play your team. He is just, he's a horrible owner. And the fact that he wants public funds to build the stadium, I am not a proponent of. I mean, I guess you could say maybe some public funds go to it,
I
but
think that's
not
what we agreed to last time, was some public funds because the public will ultimately enjoy it, but it should not be all public funds. Like this shouldn't be publicly funded.
absolutely not, because he's going to be the one benefiting. He gets the massive profits out of this, not the public.
And the public
So,
is still going to have to pay to enter the stadium.
and so the reason why we wanted to tie these two stories together on this, because the collective bargaining agreement is going to come up again. And that is, look, I know you guys all think I'm just this paranoid guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Shh, I don't have any chocolate, but I have cupcakes. Do you need some cupcakes?
And I brought up the C word, collusion. But it's stuff like this that John Fisher is pulling here with the Athletics, that this is why people believe that there's collusion, because it's like the owners are they're coming together and they're trying to keep player salaries down. And they do that, and they refuse to open their books. They refuse to show us, like, well, how much money are you making? Oh, you say you're losing money? Prove it to us. And like you said, I think this is a perfect way to wrap this up. And that is, if that is the case, then you have to show proof that you're losing money, and you need to get out. Because for me, this is just so, the people of Oakland,
They
is a
deserve
franchise.
better. And I think it goes to fans deserve better. Like the Yankees, the Dodgers, they will always get flack for being who they are, but we have a team that we can get behind, that for the most part ownership puts money back into those teams. I feel bad for the teams that do take part of that revenue share. And I'm not saying like, oh, we shouldn't have to pay into it. Take that out. I'm saying the people that are drawing from that and not putting it in, that's not fair to those fans, to those cities, to the people who are employed by those ballparks. That's unfortunate, because the whole point of baseball, people don't want to see the same teams in every year. And luckily or unluckily, we've seen some, some underdogs come in and play in the World Series. But we need teams that are actually funding their team, doing this for the players, for the sport, and not just doing it just to pull from the revenue share.
Look, I know a lot of people make fun of the fact that it's like, can you even name 3 players on the Oakland Athletics right now? But this is a historic franchise. This is a franchise. Reggie Jackson played for them. Vida Blue played for them. Catfish Hunter played for them. The A's in the late 80s with the McGuire and Canseco. This was a franchise that was once a proud franchise that had amazing players on it. And to see that this guy now
And
is just,
Moneyball.
yeah, I mean, yeah, you had Moneyball, but for it to basically, I feel like this is in limbo, that they're going to be playing in a minor league stadium for 3 years. And we still, like, there is nothing concrete, I'm telling you, about this Vegas thing, because nobody in Vegas wants that. They want an expansion team. They want their own team.
Well, and what happens to the Rivercats? Like, so now they've got a major league team that now they're playing around the major league team that gets precedence. So what happens to the Rivercats?
That's a very good question. Hopefully we can research it, and then we'll have an answer for you on our next episode. But that's going to do it for this episode. Just to wrap things up, Amy, any last words?
It's my birthday.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is Amy Cuevas' birthday, so make sure you guys send all the birthday love to Amy Cuevas. You have been watching another episode of Baseball Shangri-La. Let's take care of business. If you are listening to us on the podcast, please make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast. Write us, rate us, write us a review, help us spread the word about the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification button, give us the thumbs up, send us comments, even if it's just happy birthday, Amy. We'd love to engage with you guys. Make sure you're following us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, Threads, at Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amy Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. Good reminder, Saturday, April 13th, we all be at Rancho Cucamonga for the chaquetas. So make sure you guys join us. Nos despedimos con un beso. Amy, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.